You have 1 week until everything crashes in crypto. Bitcoin dominance is getting ready to bounce, and Benjamin Cowan, the lead analyst for all of Bitcoin over the last year here, is predicting that ETH BTC is not only about to bounce, but so is Bitcoin dominance. And what this essentially means is that the alt season we saw, everything that we've seen in terms of performance over the last few months, is about to shift. That you're about to see altcoins bleed against Bitcoin, and you're about to see Bitcoin dominance start to trend higher. Now, what are my thoughts on this? Should you be selling? Should you be rotating all of your altcoins into Bitcoin? That is what we're breaking down in today's video. By the way, if you guys didn't know, I'm in Bali, Indonesia right now with my wife on our anniversary. I extended our trip from, of course, Indonesia or for CoinFest, and I'm outside filming while she is watching, yes, the reunion to Love Island. So to start, let's look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, which you can see has been trending for many years at this point. Yes, I said years. And even though it finally started to break down, you're now going to be looking at a resistance area or an area of support where we expect Bitcoin dominance to bounce. Now, looking over at the ETH BTC chart, we can look at something similar where ETH has definitely started performing against Bitcoin, but is starting to seem toppish on the daily for the RSI, on the daily for the MACD, as the daily for the stochastic, looking to identify an area of resistance where we're more or less going to see a breakdown on ETH BTC as once again Bitcoin dominance starts to rise. Now, at first glance, this scares a lot of people because essentially when Bitcoin dominance jumps, it means altcoins are bleeding against Bitcoin. Well, I have some good news for you, but some bad news for you. The good news is Bitcoin dominance could easily jump and altcoins actually don't struggle. And what I mean by that is Bitcoin could see a bounce to 120, 125K. Hell, it could hit all-time highs and push 130 and wipe out billions upon billions of dollars in short liquidations. But that is the key level to watch, because if Bitcoin does approach these levels, it's where we go back to my conversation that I've been warning for you guys for months, which is this alt season is very different. And I know that is a phrase that people often want to veer away from, but it's true. People are acting as if we're not in the middle of an alt season right now, yet altcoins are at an all-time high. And not in an all-time high as every single one of your portfolio bags is up 5, 10, 15, 20x. All-time highs in the sense that the same amount of value that you saw in 2021, the reference point everybody makes. Everybody says, oh, there's going to be a moment where altcoins just start ripping and you just look at your portfolio every single day and it's up 10, 20, 30, 40x. But the reality of the situation is that market they're referring to is already at the same level it was in 2021 looking at this chart. So what should we expect next? Well, Benjamin Cowan is predicting that Bitcoin dominance is going to start bouncing in the next few weeks. In fact, 1 week to be exact. And ETH BTC is going to start lagging. Now, he is looking at altcoins, as noted in this picture right here on Twitter, that he says he does believe altcoins against Bitcoin could bounce and actually see higher levels as Ethereum sets a higher low. Personally, what I'm waiting for is a pullback in Bitcoin's price action. We've pumped pretty massively over the last few weeks, the last few months, and now I am expecting Bitcoin to see its next leg up. Now, I don't know if that means we're going to go to 100K first, to 130K first, but what I am looking for is a huge liquidation event to the upside, where you get that blow off top type of mechanic where you start getting retail to FOMO back into this industry. Whether that's at 125, 130K, what's interesting now is the resilience of retail. Retail doesn't seem phased at all by this pullback. I mean, Bitcoin is down, 10% from its all-time high, maybe a little bit more from 125K, and retail's acting like nothing happened. Because again, what they're focused on is the altcoin market. Most retail, I would argue 90%. And let me know in the comments right now. This is a very important question actually for you guys watching right now. Let me know if you hold Bitcoin, yes or no, and let me know what your largest position is, because most of retail isn't allocated to Bitcoin. Their largest position is more than likely Ethereum. It's more than likely XRP. It's more than likely Chainlink than it actually is the largest store of value in the industry. And this is why this, I don't know if it's toxic or if it's a false identity, has been created around the alt season that everybody is expecting. I believe we're already entering phase 3 of the 4 phases in the alt cycle. You have Bitcoin pump first, then Ethereum and large caps. You can see Solana against Bitcoin is performing very well. It's breaking out as we enter phase 3 of large and mid caps really starting to pump. Now, I am on vacation, but I had to make this video because Benjamin Cowan has been right right time and time again. And I expect him to be right again in the sense that Bitcoin dominance can bounce from here. What I don't believe is going to happen is the downfall of this market where alts bleed against Bitcoin. You might see a bit of a pullback. You might get corrections here and here, but more than likely what I believe is going to happen is Bitcoin is going to start performing exponentially well. And while more liquidity flows into Bitcoin, that doesn't mean altcoins aren't performing or bleeding against it. It simply might mean you're going to get 20, 30, 40% on your altcoins while Bitcoin performs 10, 15, 20%. And you have to remember, Bitcoin going up 10% is a lot more liquidity than our altcoins. And therefore, Bitcoin dominance could pump. Now, if the opposite happened, right? Let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Is Bitcoin dominance going to drop and break this trend line? Or is it going to bounce and pump for the next month? Let me know. But if it does break this trend line, what that means is not only are we getting the Feds cutting interest rates, you're seeing a very risk-on heavy asset market where retail is now FOMOing in to risk-on assets as we deal with stagflation. And that's going to benefit anybody that is holding risk-on tech stocks, etc. And we just saw it with NVIDIA, right? I put out a short just 2 days ago saying, warning that NVIDIA, if they were to not meet market expectations, if they were not to deliver on their earnings report or beat expectations, the markets would dump. Now, it ended up being the buy the rumor, sell the news event because NVIDIA beat the earnings like we predicted in that video. I said I expect NVIDIA to beat their earnings again. But what's happening is now if NVIDIA even beats their earnings and doesn't beat them by a magnitude of like 2 or 3 or 4x, markets look at that and perceive it as this AI bubble is coming to an end, that there is less and less room for expansion. And that's very important because whether that ends up being now Q4, we will pay attention to sales, we'll pay attention to advancements, we'll pay attention to how high we go in these markets over the next few months. You need to be identifying those key points. Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI, said AI is in a bubble. Now, the beautiful thing about a bubble doesn't mean that it has to pop tonight, doesn't mean it has to pop next month. It could pop in 6 months, it could pop in 2 years, but you have to be able to sit back and identify when you are entering one. And we are for sure entering an AI bubble now with all of the advancements. And that's going to correlate, whether you like it or not, to risk on assets in the crypto market. If the AI bubble pops, you're going to see a lot of downfall in the crypto sector. Until then, right now what we should be focusing on, Bitcoin dominance, nothing's going to hurt us, right? You should be waiting for that RSI, the stochastic, the MACD. Look on your liquidations on FOMO. Make sure you guys are looking for the best points of entry and dollar cost averaging when you have a huge correction. Because everything on the macro scale, deregulation, institutions buying Bitcoin, Ethereum treasuries, now Solana treasuries, you have mass adoption coming into this industry, deregulation taking place, the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates. It is very bullish for risk on assets in a stagflationary environment for the next 6 to 12 months. So stay tuned, lock in, let me know what your favorite altcoins are in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.